Namaste and welcome to the LGBTQ Voice. My name is Antonio and I am here today as a board member to let you guys know about our series called Me First, a wellness program which includes meditation, yoga, self-awareness, and self-care. So I am here today with Vinny. Vinny is a yoga instructor and also the owner of the Yoga Guru studio right here in New Bedford. And we're talking to her today about her experiences, what brought her to yoga, and how yoga can be beneficial, since it's one of the things that we are doing for the series. Welcome. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this. I think it's super important to find a space where we can calm down, slow down. Our society, our world is so busy lately. I once heard a quote that said, people come to yoga to get their life right.
Yoga is to unite. Yoga is about letting things go and holding on to the right things. One of the main important principles of yoga is detachment. And problem with today's generation and people is they want to attach to everything. They like to hoard stuff, and not just hoard physical stuff, but carry unnecessary burdens with them. And when you come to a practice, when you lay down your mat, what you try to do is let everything else go, because you're physically present at that moment, so that worries of your past and worries of your future just melts away, and that leaves you calm inside, and physically it opens you up.
So tell me, what brought you to yoga?
I moved to US around less than 2 years ago with a big dream, obviously, and when I was back in India, we were always doing yoga even as young kids, but I never got into yoga as deeply, as intensely when things started going a little wrong in my life, and I reached the lowest point where I was really depressed. And I found yoga again, and it helped me to come out of that depression and find myself back again. Where more yoga I did, I started feeling better. And when I knew that positive changes which were taking place within me, I wanted to go out and help people. So I started teaching yoga back in India, and then moved here, started the studio, and met amazing people from LGBTQ community, and started doing some free series with them a few months ago, and more we got into it today.
Yes, you had some sessions during the summer, I believe, every Monday at the park, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was amazing. Now, you said that some of the benefits of yoga for you were allow you to get out of depression. Mm-hmm. Tell me, what other benefits did you see, or what other benefits can people possibly see?
I also worked in airlines for 10 years, so my neck used to be always stiff because serving people looking down. First changes I felt was physical changes when I started yoga. Every pain which was in my body started melting away. I started physically feeling better. And another big difference which I noticed in myself was I had started forgetting small things. Like, for example, I would go to kitchen and not remember why I went to kitchen for. Mm-hmm. But more I started doing yoga, I became more mindful. These are tiny changes which takes place in your body. Anxiety starts melting away, and you start feeling more energetic, and life starts having a more, you start seeing colors more vibrant. It just starts feeling good within.
So would you say yoga brought a sense of clarity to your mind as well?
Oh yes, it clearly did. And
no pun intended.
Yes, it did. It did start making me feel much better from within, and more I felt good inside. It was completely new chapters in life opened, and I wanted to go deeper into my physical practice and started doing more and more advanced poses, and then started getting more certifications in yoga so I could be that teacher who taught me and trained me. I wanted to be like him.
So this series that we're doing for the LGBTQ community here through the network is to empower people to be able to pause, to stop, and to put themselves first. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people see that as being selfish. I just had a discussion with a really good friend of mine who stated that putting herself first means possibly letting go of the people that she needs to take care of. What would you say to someone who feels that they don't have the time to put themselves first or attend a yoga class?
The simplest way I can explain this is, how will you love others if you don't love yourself? You can give things to people, share things with others, what you have. And people in the process of giving to the society forget themselves. And yoga is about having balance. Yoga is to unite everything, but not just you to the nature and others, but unite you, yourself, to your higher self. So first, when you start loving yourself, that love can then spread around. So there is nothing called being selfish when you're taking care of yourself.
What would you say to people who would think that going to yoga might be too hard, too difficult? I haven't been active, I haven't gone to a yoga class, I'm not even sure what to expect. Will I look silly if I don't do a pose? I have some possible, back issues, knee issues. Would that be problematic? Would that help me? What would you say to people that find an excuse not to come?
There are so many yoga styles out there. Every yoga studio is providing you with different techniques and styles. There's no two similar teacher out there. Every teacher has its own style. I myself teach from anywhere power class, which is very intense, to all the way beginners class, yoga foundation, and then I do hatha class with lots of intense advanced poses. So there is something for everyone out there. It's a matter of finding that right place where you can call it your home. And once you get into that practice, you start from the basic simple poses and you can advance yourself. Even when I started doing yoga, I was just doing basic warrior poses, but more and more I got into it. I started doing my headstand, handstands, forearm balances, and there is no limit to how much you can learn in this path. So never be disheartened. Even if you have physical problems like your back is hurting, your neck is hurting, first thing, ask your doctor, always. Take a permission from your doctor whether you should do yoga or not. There can be some other underlying issues, and maybe yoga is not for you.
One thing I've heard is yoga doesn't hurt, so it's good to keep that in mind. So you also spoke about you were anxious and depressed, and I'd like to talk about the connection to yoga and to somehow de-stress and to alleviate some of those symptoms, because there is something to yoga about quieting the mind, bringing it back, because we all have so much going through our lives. We have so many thoughts that run through our minds. Even in our own quiet spaces, we can't seem to stop them. They just keep occurring and running through our heads. What does yoga do for somebody who might feel overwhelmed by those thoughts or is experiencing anxiety? Is there a mind-body connection with yoga for you?
Oh, yes. First thing I will suggest that person to start off with is meditation. And meditation can be even more intense than the physical practice.
Could you describe what meditation is for some of our viewers?
Meditation, there are many techniques of different styles of meditation too. Some of the easy ones would be, for example, you just sit there and quiet your mind and just count from 1 to 10 and just focus on those numbers and push every other thought aside, because what happens is after a few seconds other thoughts starts coming into your mind. Oh, I have to do this today, I have so many chores, and then what you have to do is push those thoughts away and go back to counting the number. Or if number is not your way, then start going and concentrating on your breathing techniques. So just breathe in slow and exhale out completely, and keep breathing in and exhaling out, and keep your focus within. But that can be a little tougher. So people go into chanting where you can sit in a small group of people and you repeat the same phrases over and over again. It can be in name of Lord or something to bring peace in the society. But what happens is when you sit in a group and you keep saying the same chants over and over again, or different mantras, your mind is so occupied in that moment, you don't have time to think about your past and future worries. And then there are even many more other techniques where you do breathing exercises with your chanting and breathing exercises with your meditation. You can combine even meditation in different yoga poses, just seated down with your legs crossed, and there are different forms of mudras. Now that gets deeper into the yoga practice. We talk about how different elements are on different fingers, so you can enhance your meditation technique. So under the right guidance and under the when the teacher knows how to put you into that meditation process, it can get easier.
So meditation takes time. It's just like if you go to the gym to create muscle, you have to kind of take time to create this
Yes.
meditation process and technique, because you're not going to feel the euphoric feelings or distresses in the very first session. Obviously, it's going to take some time.
You have
correct?
done meditation with me.
I have, yeah, and I have to be honest and say that I'm not quite there yet. I want to be, but I've read a lot about meditation and all the good that it does to people. I actually read an article recently that said that we don't even breathe long enough. We only breathe just to survive. We're not bringing enough
We are not
oxygen
using
to our
enough
organs
capacity of
to
our lungs,
thrive.
yes.
That I think we all breathe about 2 seconds, and to be able to thrive and bring oxygen to all of our organs should be about 4 seconds. And this is what we do in this series, Me First. We're all so busy that even our breathing has become accustomed to being rapid and not deep enough and not restful enough to bring that oxygen into our major organs. So a lot of talk now, the buzzword is meditation and wellness. And what does that mean? To me, it means literally putting yourself first, which is one of the reasons why we call this Me First. Because if you are the best version of yourself, then you can be that best version to the people that you're afraid you're not going to be good to, correct? Which we kind of alluded that and talked about that before. But I also think with yoga, what it has done for some people, it brings a sense of community. People get to know each other, people get to go to a place and exchange some thoughts, some like-minded ideas, and be in a space where they're all creating to become better versions of themselves. Like I said earlier, people go to yoga to become better. That's usually what motivates people to go to yoga, which seems like it was your story, correct?
Yes. Yoga is like a practice. Yoga is not a religion. Yoga is not exercise. Yoga is beyond that. It is about uniting yourself with your higher self. But there are many more other definitions of yoga. For example, yoga is controlling the worlds of your mind. So our mind, it's like a roller coaster, and there's so many thoughts always going on in the mind. And the problem is even when we watch television, they're just advertisements after a few seconds of your series which you watch, and then there is advertisement. Everything is so chaotic with your phone, and you remember
all
you
the
just
demands that we
and
have
you
today.
sit browsing on one channel or one thing, and you don't know how you reach from one point all the way to another point. But what yoga does is, yoga asks you to bring yourself back to the current moment. Enjoy this moment, live this moment, and then from there, spread the love outside.
How would you encourage someone who's never done yoga to come to the yoga studio and try yoga for the first time? Someone who's probably, I'm glad you said it's not a religion, because some people associate it with a religion and they're afraid that perhaps it is. It
now
is not.
Yoga has become trend. This is the funny thing, because now
Another
some
buzz thing,
yes,
yes.
celebrities are doing yoga poses and they are posting it. And I'm so glad in a way, because now more and more young generations are interested in it, because with time, as science is advancing and people just want to go to the gym, these old things which have been there for thousands and thousands of years, unless and until there is some scientific proof that this works, it just dies away.
But I also think that it's happening because our society is in a state of chaos. Everybody wants to try to quiet down. Everybody wants to feel rested. Everybody wants to be disconnected. But as much as we are connected with our phones and TV and everything else that's going on in this life, we are so disconnected as well at the same time, right? And I think yoga possibly can connect you not only to yourself and that higher version of yourself, but to others.
Yes, like for example, the amazing thing you guys are doing with the LGBTQ community, this series, because first of all, this is free for all. So it gets
Thank you.
Yes. So it gets people out of the door, and it's a good way to introduce yourself to a new style, new practice, and never be disappointed when you try something once and it doesn't work for you, because I have fallen many times trying to do a pose, and if I would have said, well, that's not for me, I wouldn't be today here sitting next to you.
It's funny you say that, because I've met some people who said, well, I don't like yoga. And I said, why don't you like it? Oh, I'm not good at it. I said, that doesn't mean you don't like it. That means you just haven't got good at it. And you get good at it by going back and by going back and by going back. I saw differences in my own technique just within a month. And I was that person who didn't want to go to yoga because I was not good at it. And I would have what I think I could call yoga envy. I would see these beautiful bodies and poses near me. I'm like, I nearly do not look like that in my pose.
Everybody is beautiful and in their own way. And yoga is all about study and continuous practice for self-improvement. So there is nothing called perfection in yoga. Because the day you think you're perfect, that means there is not any more for you to learn. And yoga is all about continuous study, and not just physical study, but evolving in your own path and being a better version of yourself.
So now that the weather is getting colder, I think as of next Sunday, the sun is going to set at 5:38, 4:38, I believe. Some people deal with that differently.
Ask me about it.
Oh.
I moved from a very hot country,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I already feel the effects of it. I guess I would want people to see that there are things that you can do in the city, right? Some of these things are free, like this program that we're discussing, Me First, the wellness program. What would you say to bring these people to your studio, and what might be the effects that they'll have if they do come into the studio instead of sitting home and watching an hour of TV? Would they feel better, less depressed, more energetic? Because I think what we tend to do, we get home from work, we have dinner, we put ourselves in our favorite lounge clothes for the most part, and we sit on the couch and watch our favorite show, and we don't partake in any kind of activity. Would somebody who starts yoga feel the benefits within a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of practices?
Depending on which type of class you take. If you have never done yoga before, I would first of all suggest starting with a beginner's class. And immediately within first few days, you'll start feeling pain starting to reduce in your body, because most people, they're sitting on the chair whole day and their lower back always hurts, and then they're always hunched down because they're always looking down at a computer or phone, so their neck and shoulder is always stiff. So what yoga does is it pushes you in the right alignment, and more you start aligning yourself right, your posture improves. The pain, when pain goes away, you start feeling good from inside, because the problem with human nature is we get used to something which you do over and over again every day, including bad posture. Then you start getting used to living with pain. And when you realize your body is meant to feel so much better than you know, when the pain is not there anymore, the energy flows so beautifully in your body. You feel so much more energetic. It's a completely new feeling.
And you said something that really just triggered a couple of things for me. It's true, most of us sit on a chair all day in our offices and we're looking down, typing, or we're on our phone texting, and we do create this curvature that is completely opposite to what is supposed to be in our own bodies. I'm guilty of that.
No, now parents are giving all these iPads and iPhones to these newborn babies. I remember playing in mud, and I would be fascinated with a piece of ribbon for hours. And now kids, they want all these new technologies, which is bad for their eyes, and it's just nobody goes out and plays in the mud anymore.
Right.
I mean, the immune system is going to go weak with time.
So people say that sitting down at work is actually the new cigarette, right? Because we're not moving, we're sitting down for 8 hours a day, and then we go home, we eat, and we sit down some more until we go to bed and lay down.
I would suggest, even if you can't do yoga physically, I mean, there are other ways to improve your lifestyle too. If you're working for 45 minutes straight, try to take 10 minutes break after that, so you can walk around for 10 minutes, or get those standing desks, so you can stand at the workplace for a few minutes every day,
or come to a yoga class, free yoga class.
Yes.
Join one of our series.
And most yoga studios also do provide first few classes as free. So even in my studio, their first few classes free, and I do free classes every now and then. And I do partner up with the South Coast LGBTQ community, and I have done series in past, which was one free class every week, and I'm going to start that again. So
since we're speaking, where is your studio exactly? What is your studio's name?
It's called the Yoga Guru, and it is in the Kilburn Mill. It's on Rodney French Boulevard in New Bedford.
And your classes are during the day, during the evening? Do you have an array of classes?
My class starts at 5:30 in the morning,
Wow.
till 9 at night. So there's almost 10 to 12 classes every day, and on Saturday, Sundays there are 6 classes. So I'm open 7 days a week, and
So before I came in, I was looking at your schedule so that I can get familiar with your schedule. And you have a meditation stretch yoga class?
Yes.
Would you suggest that for a beginner?
yes, that is an amazing class to start off with, because there are not lots of intense poses, but we do hold poses for longer. So that helps you get more flexible and puts you deeper into your yoga practice, because when you're holding a pose and your mind is quiet, it's not just yoga, it's also your breathing and your meditation, and it's a whole package in one. So when you leave by end of that class, you leave feeling so much better.
So I would assume those classes tend to be a little later in the evening, 7, 8 o'clock. Is that to
Yes.
promote a better restful sleep as well?
Yes, that was the whole point, because lots of people, they like to do really intense hard work at the end of the night, like 8 to 9 class. They like to do these really power up classes. For me, I like to end the class with something very gentle for the body. Not because I personally do 10 to 12 classes a day.
Wow.
I teach 10 to 12 classes a day. So for me, I like to end the night with something restorative for myself as well. So, and I know the benefit. Like my afternoons, I like to do something really intense, like more power yoga.
So you have
but-
more energy?
Yes, and then by the evening time, I go into poses much better. So I like lots of flow, like yoga flow or hatha flow, where there are different techniques of yoga style. I like to try them in the evening.
And as far as mats, so somebody who may not have the money to buy a mat or may think that it's going to cost a lot to initially come to a yoga class, what would you say?
I would always suggest to have your own personal mat, because it's also about hygiene and it's your own personal space. But I do have plenty of yoga mats in the studio. For example, you're a first timer, or well, I'm going to help you out as much as I can with the I mean, if you cannot afford a mat, come by anytime, and there are plenty of mats. We do have mat sprays to clean the sprays, and I have yoga blocks and blankets, so everything is provided in the studio.
A yoga block is to aid somebody who may not be able to do a pose a certain way.
Yes, also it's not necessarily for a beginner. Even as being an advanced practitioner, I still like to use yoga blocks to help myself even further my practice. So we do provide everything from yoga straps to everything which you may need as a beginner to get into the practice.
A yoga strap is used to help a deeper stretch, I would assume? Okay.
And also, again, same thing as a yoga block. In my case, I would want to use it for even more advanced poses. So even to put myself even deeper into those poses.
And how would you entice someone or ask someone who's shy, who thinks that, oh my God, everybody's going to be looking at me, I'm not going to do this right, which is completely normal, right? We all have those thoughts when starting something new, and I think what's important is letting go of that and actually going to the class or going to that task.
They can come for one-on-one session with me, or I'm sure there are also lots of other private tutors or private teachers out there, so they can do that. But it's a different feeling when you do a practice in a group. It's the flow, it's the feeling, it's the love.
And it's okay if you don't get it quite right, because you're not going to get it quite right. That's the whole point.
I have good days and bad days. I have days where, like for example, yes, just a day before I would be able to do a split beautifully. Everything will go amazing. My body feels like everything is flowing perfect. And as a woman, you have your days, your cycles, and some days your body feels tighter than ever, and the next day I'll try to do the split. I'll be way off the ground, and I'll be like, well, nothing should disappoint you. It's a practice. It's even taking the time to come on the mat. That's a big accomplishment for that day.
Or even just staying at the mat sometimes, right? And just kind of staying in the moment or trying to stay in the moment.
So try whatever. Even being able to move from pose to pose is a big achievement. So if there are some things you cannot do, well, it will happen. Everything comes with time. I mean,
practice makes perfect.
Yes,
right?
thank you. And there's still poses which I'm working on, I'm not good at, but doesn't mean I don't try them. I keep trying them till I get them right.
And I think in this fast-paced world, yoga affords us to take a break, really, right? And that break might mean getting away from your family if that's what you're stressed about, or starting something new, or feeling a sense of community, or starting something that allows you to feel lighter, better, where your shoulders, like we just described earlier, are not so tense because you worked in an office all day, which is the way, like I said, we're always on our phone, on our computers, and that does do something for us. Like our posture does shift, like you had spoken earlier. And I think so if you start yoga and you are doing the opposite of these postures or these positions where you go back, you're going to feel differently, but not to be afraid of that, because that's how your body's supposed to feel, not so tense, not so distorted, for lack of a better word. So people in yoga, I'm not saying that yoga is everything for everybody, but it can be something for somebody. It can be a start for some people, correct? And
I would like to say one thing though.
Sure.
So now the newer generation, they love doing a lot of gymming. They like to go pump up with weights. And that's a good thing. If that's what you want, please go for it. But those are people who need yoga more than anybody else, because what you do in that process is you make your body more tighter and tighter. And these people, they are more vulnerable to joint pains later in life. So if you incorporate yoga practice with your gymming practice, it's the best thing you can do for yourself. And even for young kids, when they younger the kids, even better. You can start yoga as young as 8 years old. And what yoga does for you is help you concentrate better, so they can study better, they can perform better.
Yeah.
And lots of kids, they are very hyper and they have so much energy. So yoga can help them channel that energy in a better way.
Could you show us some poses, for example, for people who may be having a problem with their shoulders or whatever the case may be, or some simple poses to start out so that people don't feel intimidated?
Well, since we are already seated on the chair, we can try some chair poses.
Let's do that.
So when you're sitting at workplace and you suddenly feel suddenly your neck is starting to hurt because you have been hunched down whole time, you can just inhale deep and look up. And then slowly start moving your head left to right, just at the top.
Felt some crack in there.
Yes, it does feel good. And then exhaling, look down, bring your chin to your chest and move your head left to right, just at the forward.
Should I be breathing a certain kind of way when I'm doing this?
Keep your focus within. So breathe in slow and exhale slowly, as if you just breathe normal, but try to be mindful of your breathing. So you want to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. So try to take a longer breath and take your time to exhale out completely. Yeah, and then you can twist, place your opposite palm on your opposite handle and twist, and you can look all the way back. And then you can do the same on the other side. You can hold this pose for a few minutes on each side, and then you can exhaling, fold down, drop your head down, hold your ankle, and this will help you loosen out the muscles, because it does cut out circulation of your blood, or not cut out completely, but it slows it down. And when you start moving just in your seated position, it does help you with the
And you can teach these techniques where people can take it back home and back to their office and so on and so forth.
Everything you learn in a yoga class, you can go back and try it at home. But again, unless it's a very, very advanced practice or it's a really advanced pose, I will never recommend to try it without a
Well, I just want to
teacher's presence.
thank you so much for doing this for us. It's amazing. I think
please.
more and more people need it. I just want people to not be fearful of coming in and trying something new. So thank you. Namaste.
Please, thank you.
And also, I just want to let our viewers know that we do have another session coming up on October 30th at your studio, correct?
Yes, and then November 13th as well.
And it's sound healing on October 30th, and it's completely free and free to everyone. All are welcome. So I hope you join us.
Thank you.